in some beautiful place there. And Tom, thanks. That article was great. Difficult to read, but
yeah, you have to use all your retina cones and cells on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope we don't find anything like that when we're dredging water shops.
I hope not.
There's a number of cars, but let's hope they're empty.
Yeah, let's hope they're empty. Or bags of cash, maybe.
Or those cars, a lot of them were probably, insurance stuff, The car was stolen, we can't find it.
I think probably all of them must be something like that, because it just confounds me that there could be a half a dozen cars in the lake and nobody would know about it.
Yeah, they obviously were intentional.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Under cloak of darkness.
Really?
I'm surprised that they get in deep enough without leaving marks along the bank that no one noticed,
Yeah.
That would then cause an investigation.
Well, it's the same thing back in the 30s when that car went in with the family inside. You wonder, how did this happen?
Of course, the ground was frozen because it was winter. And if there was no snow cover, it might not have left much of a track,
Right.
Okay, well, we're about 2 minutes after 5, according to, I didn't look at my phone, but I think
4:59.
Oh, see, my watch is a couple minutes fast. There we go.
5 o'clock. There we go.
Okay. All right, then we will call the meeting to order. Steph, do you want us to just call our names out, or?
Yes, just call your names out.
All right, Chris Collins.
Juanita Martinez.
Peter Alminas.
Karen Bina.
Gotcha.
Fred Miller.
Oh, Fred, I didn't hear you come in.
I just snuck in.
Clarence
Jones.
Peter, you already called out, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Clarence Jones.
Item A will stay continued because there's no information for that now.
Correct.
Item B and C we're going to deal with, but I think we'll go right to C if no one has a problem with that, so that Tom wants to give us an update. And then that way we can let Tom, because it's going to remain continued, but he does want to give us an update.
Right, and if it's okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Sure.
All righty, can everybody see that?
Yep. Yes, I can.
Yep.
Okay, so this was the next to the last slide from the presentation 2 weeks ago, where I indicated that we had got our secretary's certificate on the expanded ENF, and it does require a environmental impact report, albeit a single environmental impact report, which is good news. And one of the requirements is what they're calling a conceptual monitoring and mitigation plan. And then I provided a sneak snapshot of what that might look like. So this was the last slide from 2 weeks ago. So today I sent down to Kevin, and I don't know if he's had a chance to distribute it, and I'm sorry that this is late. It just seems everything takes longer these days. But we have submitted what we're calling a draft. There's a couple of things in it that I've seen that I would like to change, but it's a draft monitoring and mitigation plan. And I want to just kind of run through the basics of that. You don't have to have read it before this discussion. I'll run you through the basics, and then you can read it in your leisure, and we can talk about it again at the next meeting.
Okay.
So this figure is included as the last page in the plan, and this identifies monitoring locations. The red locations in the pond are for dissolved oxygen and Secchi disk and temperature. We'll get into that a little bit more. The two orange locations, yellow, I'm not colorblind, are monitoring locations during the drawdown in the residual pool. And then the red arrows are wetland transect locations. So essentially the monitoring plan focuses on aquatic habitat, that would be land underwater. And then the marginal wetlands, we don't mean marginal in the sense of that they're compromised or anything, we just mean they're around the margins of the pond. So essentially bordering vegetated wetland. So you'll recall that we're projecting that there'll be at least a 20-acre pool, residual pool, associated with the quote unquote full drawdown. So the two yellow monitoring stations would be in the deepest parts of the residual pool. So relative to aquatic habitat or land underwater, the monitoring plan is divided into essentially three components: pre-drawdown, what to do during drawdown, and then what to do post-drawdown. So again, this is land underwater. A pre-drawdown, conduct a macrophyte survey of the entire pond. There was one done back in '96 prior to the permitted drawdown for aquatic weed control. And then at 4 locations, the 4 red dots, those would be monitoring stations. We'd, at 1-foot intervals throughout the water column, temperature, and then Secchi disks at each of those locations. And that would be for the pre-drawdown, because here it is, on practically September the 1st, we would get at least 1 round of measurements, possibly 2, but at least 1 regarding the dissolved oxygen and temperature. And then
Oh, we lost you, Tom.
Yeah, Tom, it appears we've lost you. Tom, I don't know if you can hear us, but we've lost you.
I just got back. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Now we can, yep.
Can you still see my screen?
No.
Was that a yes or a no?
That was a no.
All right, let me try that again. How's that?
Nope.
Still no screen.
Well, that's too bad.
Your video is not on either. So did you click join with video when you got back in?
Well, I just did. Let me, it says I'm sharing my screen.
Do you want to try just leaving the meeting and then re-entering?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
All right, I'll say goodbye and then I'll be back.
While Tom's leaving and coming back, we can actually go to item 3. If someone wants to make a motion to approve the minutes, we could do that while we're waiting for Tom.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of 8/11.
Is there a second?
Proceed about 3
I'll
miles
second it.
on I.
Okay.
Who
Stephanie-
seconded? Who
I
seconded?
Fred did.
Was that Clarence?
I think
Clarence,
Fred
did you
seconded
second?
it.
Fred, me. I did.
Oh, Fred did. I'm sorry. Fred seconded. So
Okay,
would you call the roll?
I will. Clarence? Clarence?
Here.
Fred?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Juanita?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes. Might as well have made good use of our time. The other two are going to be continued anyway.
Well-
Water sewer is not ready and,
We can
oh,
do the
no, no, B we're going to work on.
Yeah, we can do the RDA. All we have to do is there need to be a motion to close the hearing on that one, and then there'll be the vote.
Okay, and you will are you going to give an order or are you going to do that the next meeting?
Nope, we can vote on it. It'd be a -3 determination that the work's in buffer zone but won't affect the.
Does someone want to make a motion to close the public hearing for Robbins Road Cottage Street improvements?
I'll make a motion. We close the public hearing for Cottage Street, Robbins Road improvements.
Is there
I'll
a second?
second that.
Okay.
Stephanie, would you
Roll.
call the roll?
Clarence?
I said it too, but yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Juanita?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes. Does someone want to make a motion to issue a -3 determination for Cottage Street, Robbins Road Cottage Street improvements? Someone?
I'll make a motion. We issue a -3
Correct.
for Robbins Road and Cottage Street improvements.
Is there a
I'll-
second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Stephanie, would you call the roll?
Clarence?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Juanita?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes. Now, Kevin, do you have permission to sign or do we have to get those signed? Get that
I've
signed?
got a pile of ones we need signed, so I'll just do what I did last time and make appointments with all of you and just get them all
Okay.
signed at once. So.
Okay.
All right, Tom, if you can hear us and you're back working, we can do your presentation.
Okay. I apologize again. I'm you may not, but well, I'm in Quebec, so
Oh,
I ran out of data. I had to I had to put another quarter in the machine. So hopefully this is going to work. So I really apologize. How about that? Can you see that?
now we can. Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Yeah, when they slow you down, they really put the brakes on.
Yeah.
And you know, the hard part is I can't really monitor that. I get a ½ gigabyte, and I had not planned on a Zoom meeting that I had this morning, and that took the whole ½ gigabyte. And then I did work throughout the day, and apparently that took another ½ gigabyte. So, like I say, I had to put more quarters in the machine. So, aquatic habitat, land underwater. So pre-drawdown, I'm not sure where you lost me, but we'll have a macrophyte survey of the entire pond. This would happen in September of this year. And then the 4 red locations in the pond, dissolved oxygen at 1 foot intervals, temperature, of course, and Secchi disc. So that would allow us to kind of get a baseline. Now during the drawdown, once per month in the growing season, you'll recall we're going to start the drawdown in October, go through the winter, the spring, the summer, the fall, the winter, and then refill in the spring of 2022. So we'll have 1 growing season, and during that growing season, once per month, we would measure dissolved oxygen, again at 1 foot intervals, and temperature at the 2 yellow monitoring stations, which are in the deepest pool of the residual pool. Now we have, we describe it in the narrative there, we have a 5 ppm action level on dissolved oxygen. If we get below 5 ppm for 75% of the pool, that will trigger increased frequency of monitoring. We'll go down to as much as twice per week if necessary. And if the 75% volume goes below 4 ppm, we would institute the contingency aeration plans, which would be essentially a compressor with a hose and bottom diffusers on the bottom of the pond to bring that oxygen level back up above 5. And then post drawdown, 3 times during the growing season of 2022, following the refilling of the pond, with dissolved oxygen, temperature, Secchi disc, and then a macrophyte survey of the entire pond. And we are talking about providing an annual report every year, starting this year, 2020, with the macrophyte survey and then the results of the monitoring at the 4 locations. So we'd have a report every year. We can come in more often if you want, report, stay in touch with Kevin. If something seems a little amiss, we can come in and talk about it earlier than once per year, of course. Now for the bordering vegetated wetlands, pre-drawdown, we essentially have 3 significant bordering vegetated wetlands in the locations shown here. We'll establish transects, we'll delineate the boundaries, GPS, add that to the mapping that we have. So within each of the wetland areas, we would establish transects and monitoring stations. We'll install just hand-placed groundwater monitoring well. We'll do plant species, photo documentation. We'll check for invasives, you know, look for signs of wildlife, that type of thing. Function and values, which is kind of subjective, but it will provide somewhat of a baseline for the condition of these areas. Then during drawdown, we would monitor the groundwater at each of these stations once per month. And then vegetation monitoring we do early growing season and then late growing season. And that would be, you know, just during the summer of 2021. And then post drawdown, we'd again monitor the groundwater, make sure it's rebounding as we expect it to, and then vegetation monitoring again twice, early and then late in the growing season. You'll see in the report, I think we had a typo. We said 2023. So essentially what we're saying is we would do this post drawdown 2022, and then if necessary, you know, if the findings are either inconclusive or the Conservation Commission wants a little bit more information, we could extend that into the growing season of 2023. And again, there'd be annual reporting associated with that. So relative to mitigation, essentially taking kind of an adaptive approach depending on what happens. You know, our thinking is that, you know, any impacts that we see would be temporary during that first growing season. We are talking about restocking of warm water fisheries in consultation with Mass Wildlife. Revegetation within those areas if necessary. I think probably the most important thing though would be invasive plants. Those will be documented in the pre-drawdown surveys of the wetland areas, and then we'll just keep an eye on those, and if necessary we could develop a proactive management strategy that could be implemented if necessary based on the pre-drawdown studies that we would do at each of the areas. So that's essentially it in a nutshell. And if you guys could take a read of that over the next week or two, and then we can talk about it again at the next meeting. We are intending to file the environmental impact report by Monday, August 31st. And, you know, that's on a 2-week cycle. So if we don't file then, we would have to wait till the middle of September. So we're really doing whatever we can to try to get a order conditions so that we can start the drawdown in October. Again, work in the pond wouldn't start until the spring. But as you know, if we don't get the drawdown started this fall, we'll likely have to put it off for another year. And that's very problematic with regard to the grant.
Very
So
good.
that's it. I'm going to stop my screen share. Well, I'll go to that and say thank you. So now I'll stop.
Well, thank you, Tom.
Do all the abutters, have they been informed about the dates of the drawdown?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They were informed from a letter from Tina Quagliato from the Office of Disaster Preparedness. We sent out frequently asked questions. They've been invited to review the presentation, essentially the one that you saw 2 weeks ago.
I realize that they were I realize they were informed of all that, but I mean the actual dates they know.
Early October is what they've been told.
Okay.
We haven't pinpointed an exact date.
Okay.
And I just want to remind anyone who might be watching this at a later date, if you want to comment or provide any information or concerns about the project, you can either email me at kchafee, that's KCHAFFEE at springfieldcityhall.com, or you can call my line, it's 413-787-6234.
Thank you, Kevin. And for the public, that's how you would make any comments that you want. We don't need a motion to continue because we continued. Well, don't we do it anyway, just in case?
Yeah, because I don't think we indefinitely continued, so.
All right, so can I get a motion to continue this public hearing for at least 2 weeks?
I'll make a motion, we continue the Water Shop Dam rehabilitation for 2 weeks.
Is there a second?
second it.
Thank you.
Roll
Steph?
call.
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll start with Clarence since he made the motion.
Yes.
Fred?
Oh.
Fred, you there?
Fred, you're muted. Fred? I think that's a yes, but I'm not, he's got a bad connection.
Peter?
Yes.
Anita?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes. Fred, you're muted. If you unmute, I don't know if you,
It looks like he's trying to,
he's trying to talk
but
because
I
it
mean,
keeps going late.
we have a quorum anyways, just voted on that, so.
But we
Okay.
have his shaking of his head on video.
Okay. So Tom, thank you very much. Enjoy Quebec. I hope you're there on vacation. You're not working, are you?
No, I am working. My wife is on vacation and I'm working.
Well, there you go. As
I'll
well it should be.
I'll catch up with her next week. Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, so I'll see y'all in 2 weeks, and if anything comes up in the meantime, I'll let Kevin know, and vice versa.
And I did get your email, Tom. I'll forward it to the commission after we get off the meeting.
Okay, thank you so much, and let me know if I can provide hard copies or anything like that. So.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, signing off. Thank y'all.
Bye-bye.